case you're wondering what happened in Kenya, there's a young man, his name is Abel. So Abel died, quote unquote, died inside a police jail cell. Abel had spoken against some unfair things that were happening, so he was some kind of advocate. And he was arrested and then he was killed. Abel
he spoke on Twitter.
Yeah, he's done things like an activist, right? Some injustices. So Abel was arrested. Classic style in Kenya, when you speak against bad governance, you're kidnapped and arrested. And then he somehow mysteriously died in the jail cell. And his dad was offered 2 million Kenya shillings, that's about 20,000 US dollars, for his loss. And people went to the streets to
protest,
to protest, obviously, because we know what happened. And during the protest, then that's when the young guy who was selling masks, if you see that video, and you must watch that video, I would really implore you to watch that video, because I think ignorance is not bliss. It's very important for you to see and feel and allow yourself to not stay in the dark, because this guy was actually in absolute surrender, holding his mask, and they pushed him a bit and they shot him at close range. Whatever the reason might have been, there's nothing that warrants such unnecessary, excessive use of force, especially to a citizen who's trying to make a livelihood.
Definitely.
So I know this might not, and this should resonate with us, because I think that complacency has no space in our community. We are raising kids here. We want to bring kids to a sober generation, proper leadership. And I think living in anarchy, which is what our president is trying to propagate, has no room. Many of us will die. There's a lot of martyrs, but I think it's the price that we have to pay.
Definitely.
Oh, I don't know where to start.
Yeah, this is a little bit heartbreaking, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, very saddening story, guys. We just wanted to talk about the saddening incidents that are happening in Kenya right now. And I'm extremely happy that I share the same sentiments with my friend. She's an empath. She's from Kenya, so obviously these things are very saddening to her, very unfortunate, because it hits home, right?
So Santa is Ugandan, and I'm Kenyan, and she's been really making a lot of noise about what's happening. And I think that's where neighborly attitude comes in, where even people who are not necessarily directly being affected, and that's obviously subject to dispute, also make noise and also help show the world what's happening, because I think the biggest antidote to chaos is conversation and not hiding it like it's not happening. So I feel like when people in other countries do that for us, we're really grateful. But I think that also these things affect most African countries.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what bleeds in Kenya hits home as well. In as much as we don't have gun violence and all of that, this resonates to me as a Ugandan. And if you are from Kenya, Uganda is right next door. I'm very sure you're conversant with everything happening back home in Uganda. I went to school with a lot of Kenyans. We share a lot of culture. Kenyan is pretty much like my sister. And in times like this, I think we need a lot of solidarity. We need a lot of people. We don't have big platforms. You know, we are just starting out. But I think coming together, having a togetherness to talk about these things is the best we can do, and have a voice and stand as one. Don't just sit back at home and think this doesn't affect you or this doesn't apply to you, because today it could be someone else and tomorrow it will be you. Guy that was shot, he was a normal civilian trying to cater to his family. He was selling masks for protesters, and suddenly he was shot dead. Very extremely heartbreaking. And we are saddened, even though we are miles away.
Yeah. Have you seen what's happening with Traore? What's the name of this country?
Yeah, Traore.
Yes, exactly. I feel like he's making such a good mark of how Africans can be mentally independent.
Definitely.
And I really feel like and I know we are very sorry, I couldn't find a better word right now, but very cocky as a nation that I'm sure that most countries would feel like they wouldn't want to borrow from a black man. And I think that's the neo-colonization that they have twisted to our minds.
Definitely.
Right? So when we see Traore doing right by his country, people feel like maybe he's a bit of a simp or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's exactly who we need. Those are the kind of people we need in power, who can think independently, who can make their own independent choices and for their own people, and forget about and learning things and unbrainwashing yourself is such a task.
Yeah.
But I feel like our leaders need to understand that they are in a place of pure, almost zero knowledge.
Yeah.
And they need to like unlearn so much stuff to learn new things, ways of leadership, how to see ourselves, how to see black people as valuable, their own people, because I feel like we elevate everybody else to our own extent, and it's what colonization did to our minds, and
for
we have so much work to do.
And to be honest, the other day I was speaking to my husband about us as Africans, or I mean any other country that is experiencing these kinds of injustices. What should we do? I mean, moving forward, what is something that we are going to do? And he told me realistically that at some point we have to be brave enough to face death at the cost of our for our rights to eventually come to light. And I told him, listen, we are all entitled to liberty, we are entitled to democracy, we are entitled to good governance, we are entitled to rights just like very many other countries, and I don't think that it's right for us to die to just attain basic human rights. And I do understand a lot of people, a lot of leaders that are in power, they will never get out of power unless unless we bleed, and it is the sad truth. I do understand a lot of people are not willing to die and leave their families. When we put people into the constitution, we have put you there to serve the people, not to be there for your own selfish benefits. And I sympathize with all Kenyans, I sympathize with all Ugandans, I sympathize with all people in the world that are facing these injustices, and I hope that it can get better, really.
And we also vote these people in, so at the end of the day, when you say, I cannot vote, you're part of the problem, because you have to exercise your right to make a decision. You cannot sit on the sidelines and do nothing. You also can exercise your right of, what is it called? Freedom of conversation or speech, right? So there's always something you can do. That little step that you're making by tweeting,
it goes a long way.
It goes a long way.
It goes a long way. And to be honest, it goes further than that. I don't sympathize with any leaders that we have put into place to serve us. I feel like it also goes down to your morals and dignity as a person, because there's absolutely no way you are going to be elected by the people to serve them, and when you get to parliament you change sides. You are just there for your own good. It also comes down to your morals and dignity as a person. If you don't have that, you don't have anything.
You have nothing.
Because Traore is exceptional. I'm sure he has been put in a place of power. He could have changed, just like all these leaders have done to us. But his morals and dignity stood by him, and he is a man of his word. I feel like all these leaders, we are tired of all these old men. Like, for example, in Uganda, I saw a video yesterday. A president, an MP, a member of parliament, has been in office for at least 3 decades, and you could see that he had a disability. I don't know, he could barely speak, but he still had the audacity to want to aspire for elections again and be nominated by the people. We have a lot of youth who are capable. I don't see the reason as to why we have to keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. Just you want to be in office for status quo, doing absolutely nothing. They are paying all these MPs loads and loads of money at the expense of what? Uganda has absolutely nothing. The country is bleeding. There's a lot of inflation. There are no jobs, pretty much. Oh my God, the list goes on and on and on. But I urge all of you to stop being docile and use your voices. You know, a lot of you people just sit back and watch. You just sit back for as long as you think that this thing doesn't affect me. I'm just gonna sit as long as I have, you know, I have food on my table, I have all these things. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you this, you have to be an example for the future kids, for your own kids as well. You have to be exemplary. That's all I can say.
I like what you said about don't sit there and do nothing. You can always do something.
Definitely.
Of, you know, even if it's a tweet, it's a post, it's a WhatsApp share, you can always do something, and it depends on you. You're not just going to watch and say, oh, somebody else will go to the streets for me. There's something you can do.
You know, you may not go to the streets, but your voice can make a difference. You know, we as a collective, it's upon us to speak up. You know, the more we sit down and be quiet, we are always going to be subjugated.
Part of the problem.
Definitely.
If we keep quiet.
I'm proud of I mean, in as much as it was at the expense of his life, I'm proud of that guy that died that was massacred in the prison.
Say his name, Abel Ojwang.
Abel Ojwang, we are so proud of you, and condolences to your family. Condolences to all the Kenyans out there that are protesting. We are extremely proud of you. I'm so proud of all the Ugandans that have never let their foot down, and they have always spoke up about all these things. I'm so proud of all the people that speak about Congo. I'm so proud of all the people that are pretty much talking about Trump and all this facade that is happening. I'm extremely proud of you. You deserve your accolades, you deserve your flowers, and your effort doesn't go unseen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, and I think it's high time me and Sky made a podcast, because we share a lot of sentiments, we share a lot of thoughts. I'm extremely happy to be in the presence of a woman that has a voice, a woman that knows what she wants. You know, I like to see women who have a standpoint, you know, because we as women, we are the future. You know, if we show our girls, our daughters, our sons that we are not ready to be, we are not just going to be obedient and let ourselves be subjected to oppression, that is the way to go. I have a daughter, and this is what I want her to see, that if you stand for something, it is everything. That's your purpose, you know? But if you don't stand for anything, you stand to lose everything.
100%.
Right.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way about you, really. I'm excited to explore more creative projects together.
For sure.
But especially because you're very intentional and trying to make an impact. So that for me really is very admirable. And I think because you're also a Taurus.
I forgot about that, girl. I did forget about that. But yeah, I saw someone today. I saw a random video of a creator in Kenya. She said that influencers are just sitting around and they are not using their voice. These people put you up there as a creator because they thought that you would have influence, you know. And the fact that you're silent, your silence is very loud. Someone who is silent, that is an indication that you're not for the people. You, in as much as that this is a provision for your day to day, you need money, you need to use your voice. Your voice is very impressionable, and that is why people put you up in that place. Do not be worried that brands are not going to look for you if you take a stand and speak about the injustices in Kenya. Use your voice, even though you cannot go out in the streets. Continue to use your voice. Anyways, that was it for today, and cheers. We love you.